How's it going, Guardian? Shifty here, and today I wanted to talk about a Shadebinder build that I've been having a lot of fun with in Season of the Lost. Now, I'm sure most of you have seen some variation of this build online somewhere, but I have my own little spin to put on it. I'm also guessing that you've heard how great the new Headstone perk is on the new Stasis weapons. Well, that perk is going to be one of the key components to this build. I also want to mention that there's going to be about 8 different ways to regain grenade energy using my setup. You may have already guessed it, but my goal for this build is to spam Stasis turrets on a Shadebinder Warlock. Also, did you know that getting multi-kills by shattering a Stasis crystal can proc Explosive Wellmaker? So that means when I get a multi-kill by shattering Stasis crystals, I can generate a Solar Elemental Well, and with the new Well of Ordnance mod, I can pick up a Solar Elemental Well and gain some grenade energy back. That's just one example of how I'm going to be regaining my grenade energy. In just a moment, I'm going to go over the build in more detail, but before I do, if you end up enjoying the video, make sure to hit that like button, and if you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe as well. Alright, so as I already mentioned, the goal of this build is to be able to spam my Stasis turrets and get my grenade energy back as quickly as possible. So there will be multiple components to this build that will allow me to regain my grenade energy. However, first I want to go over my Shadebinder setup. So for my grenade, I do have the Glacier Grenade, but it doesn't really matter. The Glacier Grenade will just give you some more Stasis crystals to shatter if you need to. Then for my aspects, I have Bleak Watcher and Ice Flare Bolts. And then for my fragments, I have Whisper of Torment, so I gain grenade energy each time I take damage from targets. Then I have Whisper of Chains, so while I'm near frozen targets or friendly Stasis crystals, I take reduced damage. Next, I have Whisper of Shards, so shattering a Stasis crystal temporarily boosts my grenade recharge rate. Shattering additional Stasis crystals increases the duration of that benefit. And finally, I have Whisper of Fissures. This increases the damage and size of the burst of the Stasis crystal when you destroy a Stasis crystal, or defeat a frozen target. So you can see with Whisper of Torment and Whisper of Shards, I have 2 ways to gain grenade energy right there. Now, I know that Whisper of Shards relies on you shattering Stasis crystals, and Warlocks don't have a great method to do so. In order to shatter those Stasis crystals, you'll probably have to rely on your weapons, and that's not really that big of a deal anyway. Speaking of weapons, I want to move on and talk about my specific weapon selection. So first of all, you can see that I have the new Stasis sidearm from Iron Banner. It's called Peacebond, and my particular role has Subsistence and Headstone. If you don't know what Headstone does, Precision Final Blows spawn a Stasis crystal at the victim's location. You've probably seen some examples of that in the background footage. Now, if you get plenty of precision kills with the Peacebond sidearm and you have the Headstone perk, you'll have plenty of Stasis crystals to destroy. In turn, that will proc the Whisper of Shards fragment and give you a faster grenade cooldown. Not only that, but shattering those crystals may net you an explosive multi-kill and proc the Explosive Wellmaker mod. And that will create a Solar Elemental Well for you to pick up. Now, if you don't have Peacebond with Headstone, you could always substitute it with Vulpecula with Headstone instead. Now, for my energy weapon, I do have Salvager Salvo with Demolitionist equipped. This will also help you get some grenade energy back, and it will also reload when you throw out a Stasis turret. Not only that, but grenade launchers are excellent weapons for shattering Stasis crystals. And for my heavy weapon, I'm personally using Sleeper Simulant, but you could use whatever weapon that you wanted to. Next up, I want to move on to armor mods. I'm going to start at my helmet and work my way down. I am going to start by going over the armor mods in my helmet, but before I do, I want to mention that I am using the Verity's Brow exotic. If you forgot what this does, the armor perk is the 4th magic. Weapon Final Blows with a damage type matching your subclass energy grant death throws. This provides a grenade damage bonus and grants you grenade energy. When you have death throws and throw a grenade, nearby allies gain greatly increased grenade regeneration for a short time. Now, I am on a Stasis subclass and I'm using the Peacebond Stasis sidearm, so death throws will be active pretty often. As for my armor mods here, I have the new Well of Ordnance mod, so picking up a Solar Elemental Well will grant me additional grenade energy. Multiple copies of this mod do increase the effect. So as you can see, this is another way I'm going to be gaining grenade energy. I do want to mention that Well of Ordnance can only go in solar armor. Then for my arms, I am using a pair of Stasis gauntlets. In these gauntlets, I have 2 grenade kickstart mods. These make it so when my grenade energy is fully expended, I gain grenade energy back. Then in my chest, I have another Well of Ordnance mod. Remember, multiple copies of this mod do increase its effect. Then in my legs, I have 2 intervention mods. These reduce your grenade cooldown each time you pick up an orb of power, and I'll be generating plenty of orbs of power since all 3 of my weapons are masterworked. In addition to that, I have a third Well of Ordnance mod. And finally, in my bond, I have 2 bomber mods. These reduce my grenade cooldown when I use my class ability, and I also have that explosive well maker mod I mentioned earlier. This makes it so rapidly defeating combatants with explosive damage spawns a solar elemental well. As I already mentioned, getting kills by shattering stasis crystals will proc this mod. Now that I've gone over the build, I want to talk to you about how to use this build. So you're primarily going to want to focus on getting precision kills with your stasis weapon with Headstone. Then when you create a stasis crystal, you're going to want to shatter those stasis crystals. Between death throws and your improved ability regeneration, you're going to get a lot of your grenade energy back. Now, if you do need some extra grenade energy beyond that, you could always pick up any solar elemental wells that you generate. You could also pick up orbs of power and get grenade energy from the intervention mods, or you could even place your rift down and get some grenade energy from the bomber mods. Regardless of how you want to do it, the improved ability regeneration and death throws are going to help you get your grenade back really fast. And if you are ever low on grenade energy, you can use one of the other methods to get even more grenade energy. In regards to activities with champions, since you have so many ways of gaining grenade energy, you could always replace the grenade kickstart mods in your arms with anti-champion mods. In addition to that, you can swap out salvage or salvo or your heavy weapon for something else that can be used against champions. Don't forget, you could always include exotic weapons in your build that already have some sort of anti-champion intrinsic perk. Examples of that include Ariana's Vow, Lament, Divinity, or other such weapons. Anyway, now that I've talked about the build and went over how to use it, I want to show you some gameplay of this build in action.